Okay, we're going to have Frank's going to get us started here, I think. Are we good to go?
Again, thank you so very much for coming and supporting us. This is an important meeting. So I will introduce myself. I am Frank Burden. I have a Facebook page called No Sandstino. You may have found some flyers posted to your mailbox. A lot of that has been my doing. It's my desire to inform all of Shingle Springs about what we have going on. This is Lori Parlin. She has a Shingle Springs Community Alliance website. In the back we have Kathleen Newell, who will be videotaping this for the purpose of putting it up on the web later for those residents that couldn't make it. They can be informed just as well as you folks are. So this is our agenda. What is the Shingle Springs Community Alliance? Lori's going to cover that. We're going to talk about the two current projects, Sandstino. There are maps here on the walls, Tilden Park as well. How did we get here? How are these developments occurring? How something this large coming into Shingle Springs? We're going to have a proposal. We're trying to come up with a Shingle Springs community plan as well as a Shingle Springs community identity and vision. Lori will be covering that and stating their importance. We're also going to have an action plan of what we need to do today. We need signing in so that we can keep you folks informed on developments so we can act in a timely manner. Stay connected. Go to our Facebook page, go to Lori's website, and whatever future actions we need to do, we'll discuss as well. And now Lori's going to talk about what the Shingle Springs Community Alliance is about.
Okay. Oh, Frank, where's our little pointer thing? We have a laser pointer. It's very high tech.
Don't point at anybody.
I've been told not to point at anybody, so if I do, I'm sorry. I'm kind of crazy with it. All right, so what is the Shingle Springs Community Alliance? Well, the Shingle Springs Community Alliance was formed last summer in July 2012 to address some of the concerns that were being raised by citizens. Traffic is a big concern. Our inconsistent building designs along our commercial corridor, people seem to bring that one up quite a bit. We're kind of at a standpoint here where there's possibility of losing our peaceful country lifestyle, and I think that's one reason a lot of you are here. And then we found out at some of the meetings over last summer that there's a lack of representation for Shingle Springs up at the county in the planning. And so when I started talking to some of my friends and stuff, we realized we need to get together, we need to unite, and that's how the Alliance got started. So, next slide. If you haven't been on our website, this is actually, I think, straight from the website, but just real quick, our mission, the Shingle Springs Community Alliance is a grassroots, community-based organization committed to promoting and preserving the rural quality of Shingle Springs. Our purpose, we were formed to unite the residents of Shingle Springs, be a voice for our community, to oppose high-density development and adverse policy changes, and then to participate in the planning of our area. We need your input. We do have to come together if we're going to do this, but we can. Okay, and then Frank's going to go over some information with you what Sandstino development is.
Thank you, Lori. So where is Sandstino located? Some of you longtime Shingle Springs residents, or what I call legacy residents, know where the Shiver Ranch property is. It's bordered along French Creek Drive and partially bordered by Old Frenchtown Road. Also, part of that development is the White and the Weck properties. They're also part of Sandstino, and they give Sandstino access north and south of Mother Lode Drive. So here you have the Shiver property. Here's French Creek, Old Frenchtown Road, there's Mother Lode, Shingle Springs Drive. Over here is our wonderful overpass that never has any congestion. Also to note that all the folks down here will be impacted because they have to travel this route to get to wherever they're going. Next slide. Project description. We're looking at 1,041 homes on combined parcels, the three parcels I stated, totaling 645 acres. The housing is clustered in various large lots in a high-density manner. There's a lot of open space included in this development, meaning there's no guarantee that these open spaces will not later be developed as infill with high-density housing, low-income housing, apartments, whatever that would be. Next slide. Currently, that property is slated as agricultural use and residential 5-acre parcels. This development would change the zoning from this to medium density and high density, possible mixed use, as I stated, commercial apartments, low income, with all that open space there. Public outreach. The developer went for the program, for the project description. This is on county documents. The developer contacted several neighborhood groups regarding the development. They contacted the Holiday Hills HOA, Holiday Lake Ranch folks, the Hacienda de Estrellas HOA, the Lost Creek residents, and the Hillwood CSD. I hope you all know where that is. If not, I can go back to the other map and point them out. The county has to notify neighbors adjacent to the developments within 500 feet. It's my goal and it's our goal to inform all the Shingle Springs residents about this development. If we weren't taking flyers, if we didn't have these websites up, you would not know about this. So those of you that do know and your neighbors don't, please share this information with them. So these are the project accommodations for the adjoining neighborhoods that the developer did. For the Holiday Lake Branch and Holiday Hills Homeowners Association, they said they would build a decorative masonry wall which would surround Holiday Hills, Holiday Lake from Sandstino, put up a security fencing and gates, make it a gated community for them, and do some road paving. For the Lost Creek Road residents, Lost Creek is currently a dirt road. They would pave it with asphalt. They would give them an easement for high-speed internet access. They would provide a water line and a fire hydrant to them, and give them gated access to the development so they can walk onto the property and go to the parks and enjoy that. Traffic impact. Now, we all know what the major impact of this development is going to be. The national average for cars per household is 2 cars. This is according to the Department of Transportation. So if we take 1,041 homes times 2 cars, that equals 2,000 additional cars on the road. Now, we're a rural community, so we all know how many cars are in our household. Most of us have more than 2 cars in our household. So, and you know how many cars your neighbor has. So if you take this amount of homes times the amount of cars you have, you know the real number that's going to be added. The average amount of car trips per day per household is 10. What that means is when you go to work and you come home, that's 2 trips. If you go to your kids go to school and come home, that's another 2 trips. You go to the grocery store, you come home, that's another 2 trips. So 10 is about right. At first I thought that was kind of high, but that's about right. So now we have, again, 10 homes, or 1,041 homes times 10 car trips. That equals 10,410 car trips per day. That's additional rubber on our roads, folks. Next slide. So, we're going to have traffic gridlock at the Shingle Springs Ponderosa overpass. North Shingle congests at the overpass. South Shingle congests at the overpass. Ponderosa congests at the overpass. Highway 50 off-ramps and on-ramps congest at the overpass. There are folks from Cameron Park that bring their kids up to school at Ponderosa. That gets congested. Currently, there's no funding to widen that overpass. So here we have a Google Earth of the area. Here's where Sandstino will go. Here's Mother Lode. This is Shingle Springs Drive, Buckeye, South Shingle, North Shingle, Ponderosa, Girock, and our wonderful little overpass. That's going to be strained to capacity, which it already is. Next slide. Now, there's also going to be some traffic gridlock at Mother Lode. There's a plan description. Via Lavenza is the name of the street. It's described as a major 2-lane road that's going to exit the development at Mother Lode Drive and eventually connect with Shingle Springs Drive. There'll be a 4-way stoplight required at Mother Lode and Via Lavenza. Traffic might increase. I'm not saying it will, but it might increase near Buckeye Elementary School and the California Montessori Project School. Of course, that would raise child safety concerns for our children. So here we have the development again. This is Via Lavenza exits. There's where will be the 4-way stoplight. It's going to continue on and exit onto Maggie Lane. So if a driver decides he doesn't want to go this route, takes Buckeye to Shingle Springs Drive, then that's where you get that traffic congestion near those schools. Additionally, there's another road here. Boy, am I shaky today. I need more coffee. There's another road here, and I don't know in the project description what that's going to be, if that's going to be another light or a stop light there, or a stop sign there. We don't know. So for sure there's a four-way there. Now, so should the development be allowed as proposed? We are not anti-growth. We're for responsible growth. General plan right now currently for that property allows for low density housing. The developer wants the general plan amended to medium and high density housing for San Stino. Shingle Springs is a rural community. Let's retain that rural lifestyle. That's why we live here. We're not living in Elk Grove. We're not in Cameron Park. We're not in Folsom. We are here. We love our neighbors, but we also want to keep away from them. We're on 5 10-acre parcels, right? I mean, I want to play my music really loud. You don't want to hear what I play, and I don't want to hear what you play. So let's keep the general plan as is and develop the property using the current zoning of Real Estate 5. The roads in Shingle Springs cannot sustain this additional traffic. It's just not possible. Now, Lori's going to talk about another development, which is Tilden Park. That's going to add a whole lot more traffic strength to the roads in that overpass. So this is the application of the developer with the county. Again, 41% open space. So 59% of that property, and there's a caveat. The Shivers are retaining a 40-acre parcel. I did sit down and do the math and what that represents percentage-wise. Let's call it 35% open space then. So 35%, if 59% has 1,041 homes, how many more homes, apartments, whatever can fit on another 35% of land? So this development can get very, very big. Shingle Springs is about a little over 4,000, you know what it is? 4,400 population. This could, in actuality, double the size. This one development could double the size of Shingle Springs. And with that, I'll hand this off to Lori, and she'll talk about Tilden Park.
I didn't know Frank was so funny. Okay, so Tilden Park, where is it located? Okay, here comes the laser. Watch out. Here it is. It's a 12-acre proposed development. Here's our Highway 50. There's Ponderosa Road. Here's the car dealership, so you kind of all know where that is now. Here's our Pine Hill Preserve. The frontage road that goes in front of the car dealerships, that's called Wild Chaparral, and it's a dead-end road. So you have to know that anything that goes on here has to come out to Ponderosa Road. And we do get congestion there already because we have the high school, which we all love though. So this 12 acres currently is zoned for medium density residential homes, 1 acre parcel sizes, so 1 home per 1 acre, which right now means 12 homes should be there. And in comparison, the surrounding neighborhood, you can see these are mostly all 1 acre parcels surrounding it, so you can kind of see the comparison, like here's 1 home, and they want to put a whole bunch of stuff in here with their new proposed plan. So here's the project description for Tilden Park. Like I said, it's 12 acres. They're planning to put on 3.28 of the acres a hotel site. It's going to be 3 or 4 stories. We're not sure because the project description that's on file at the county was a little confusing, but they did say it's going to be an 80-room hotel. And then on almost 5 acres of it, they want to put a 2-story building with offices and shops, a 20,000 square foot food market, and a restaurant. And then on the remaining 3.5 acres, 14 single-family residential lots. So those are going to be really tiny lots. Okay, and this is a really hard map to see. There's a bigger one in the back if you want to see it. It's easier to see on the wall a little bit better. But you can see the 12 acres here. So like this right here, this is a 1 acre home that already exists. And you can tell this kind of development just doesn't really fit in with what's surrounding it. And then there's the Wild Chaparral Road where all of this will have to exit. So you can see the hotel here. This is the office, shops. This is the little food market, the restaurant, which backs up to a home, by the way. That's not going to be great. Here's another home. These are all 1 acre parcels. And then these are the tiny little 14 lots in the back. You need to understand there's a lot of environmental impacts that were brought up during the Planning Commission hearing meetings. This right here is a seasonal stream, and all the water, and I'm not making this up, Meter Road and Buena Vista at the top, all that water runs down here. This little area, I call it a meadow. We like to call it, my family calls it a meadow, but this is where a lot of this water collects and actually floods onto this private road. It's called Crosswood Drive. Another issue that was raised is Crosswood Drive is a private road, but the developer has put in a request for design waivers to take part of the private road actually and narrow it by 10 feet. That hasn't been worked out, and if these homeowners don't agree to it, the county could actually do an eminent domain and take some of it, which I don't think in Dorado County we really like eminent domain on our property owners. So those are some of the things that were brought up. Oh, and over here are some native plants that we're not sure how that's going to be protected. There's a lot of things that were brought up, and quite honestly, it just doesn't fit in with this neighborhood. And like I said, it doesn't fit in with the surrounding neighborhood. And this project as proposed would create, there was a traffic impact study already, 4,455 car trips per day. And that would it would all have to come out and go into this Ponderosa Road interchange here. And this is the only exit from this site. There's 100 homes back in here, and they're on bigger parcels, 1 acre, some are 5. There's even a 10 back in here. So there's going to be a lot of negative impacts for our traffic. The status of Tilden Park. It got a little complicated, but we were having planning commission meetings, and the public brought up all these negative impacts. So the applicant actually took the item off of the calendar for the planning commission and said that they would do a full EIR report so that they could explore all the negative impacts. So then this past December, there was a notice sent out, and the notice said they're going to do a focused EIR, and they're only going to look at the traffic and the greenhouse emissions. They're not doing a full EIR, which was surprising to us because we were told they would. There's far more impacts than just the traffic and the greenhouse emissions. And that notice of preparation, that was already sent to public agencies like Fish and Game, and then the residents that live within 500 feet got a notice too. The public comments, if you want to make a public comment about this and the scope of it, it's due, this Friday. And on our website, if you want to make a comment, I kind of tried to put some instructions and some sample letters that we already submitted to help you make comments if you'd like to. So, you're probably thinking, okay, wait, this is Shingle Springs. We like our country living on acreage. How did we get here? Why are these kind of projects being proposed for here, right? Well, it turns out, and I had to learn a lot this past year. I did not know about all this, so I'm sorry if I don't explain it perfectly, but I'm going to try my best. It turns out when you read our county's general plan, Shingle Springs has a community region boundary line around it, and it's this red line. And it sounds great, like we're a community region, right? Well, here's the definition. So, community region definition. The purpose of that red line is to show on the general plan map the urban limit line, okay? And within the community region, that's where the highest intensity of self-sustaining compact urban type development or suburban type development will go within the county. Okay, also within a community region boundary line, mixed-use developments, which combine commercial and residential uses, are permissible and encouraged within those regions. Okay, and mixed use means, mixed uses can go vertically, say office space on the bottom and apartments on top, or they can be spread out and go horizontal. And at this time, per acre in a mixed use development, the maximum number of dwelling units would be 16. However, our general plan is being amended right now as we speak. It's in the process, and that number is going to go up. I'm not sure. I thought I'd heard 24 or 32, but it's definitely going to go up. So if they're looking at doing something like this, it's going to be a lot per parcel, per acre. The thing that's a little bit encouraging, I think, is in this definition, it does say the boundaries of existing community regions may be modified through the general plan amendment process. Within El Dorado County, there are all of these other community regions. So Cameron Park is a community region, Camino Pollock Pines, the city of Placerville, El Dorado Diamond Springs, El Dorado Hills, and Shingle Springs. And I put an asterisk here because Camino Pollock Pines is actually trying to move their boundary line right now too. They'd like, this doesn't fit us, we don't want to be a high density area. And since the general plan is being amended right now, they're on it, okay? What we're saying is, hey, high density development, it's not consistent with the surrounding area of peaceful country homes and ranches on acreage in Shingle Springs. And high density development is not what most people expect when they visit or move here. This map pretty much explains, I like it because it has lots of colors. And the next slide has a zoomed in version so we can see better, but I wanted to tell you about this. So here we have the Shingle Springs Community Region, and then there's the Cameron Park one right next to us. And we all know we have the same zip code. However, this map clearly shows we have two very different lifestyles. And when people move here, it's nice that they have a choice. See the yellow? I guess we can look at the next slide. See, it's easier to see here. The yellow is high density, and Cameron Park has a high density land use designation, and some people choose to live there. They like it. They want to be more urban. Over here, the light color, this is San Stino, by the way, that light color is actually right now designated for low density. This a little bit peachier color, that's medium density. This salmon color, I guess, that's our commercial. And we do have a little bit of yellow. I mean, we do have a little bit of high density in Shingle Springs. So what was the other one I wanted to show you? Oh, multifamily, that olive color. We have a little bit of that too. We have some apartments in Shingle Springs. So we have a little bit of everything, but you can see we have a nice core here. And I'm thinking when I talk to people, and Frank does too, we've all talked, it seems that most people agree that they'd like to keep it this way, just keep the zoning and the land use that we already have. So here's some concerns that people have brought up. The rural character of El Dorado County is our most important asset. I think everybody agrees that's kind of why we chose to live here, correct? We chose to live here to get away from urban congestion. People have said to me, I didn't expect the congestion to come up the hill and follow me. So there you have it. A lot of people have said, hey, land should not be rezoned just to benefit a speculator at the expense or detriment of the surrounding properties and the community, and that new development really should fit in with what's around it. I mean, that just makes sense. The 2004 general plan, it did promise us many protections to preserve our way of life. It's a plan. However, as part of the general plan, the county was supposed to make guidelines for many things. There's agriculture and grazing rangelands, historic districts, scenic highways, park and rec, sign and billboards, and then community identities. And they were supposed to do this as part of the general plan. Well, the reason that Shingle Springs needs its own community identity and its own community plan is that the county hasn't finished making all those guidelines yet. And they're still working on things like community identities. So without those guidelines, every time there's a project proposed or anything like that, each project, each parcel, it's assessed on a case-by-case basis, which then causes inconsistency and friction between the county, the developers, and then the public. So we all know this one. I know, but it's the best example we have. The guidelines weren't in place for this, and we didn't have our own community identity yet. There was a lack of vision on the part of the county, and this happened. And I think a lot of people are not very happy about it. So, the Shingle Springs Community Identity and the community plan that we're going to propose will respect the rural lifestyle of the current residents while allowing for economic expansion that builds upon the rural character and contributes to the economic health of Shingle Springs. So here's our proposal. We're going to ask the Board of Supervisors to create a county resolution to remove the Shingle Springs Community Region boundary line from the general plan. So we want to get rid of that red line. It just doesn't work for what our lifestyle is. And then we want to create our own community plan. And that plan will embrace and preserve existing land use and zoning designations, which are a vital part of the Shingle Springs lifestyle. That's our rural, spacious acreage. And our plan will also establish Shingle Springs community identity as a peaceful country community with ranches and homes on acreage. Our plan will also create enforceable design guidelines and a signing ordinance to make the vision clear for commercial property owners. And then, the last little bit of our resolution is to recommend that the county does research so that we can create our Shingle Springs historical sites to preserve the history of Shingle Springs in El Dorado County. And some people pointed out, like, we have things like the Shingle Springs Cemetery, our French Creek Cemetery, our rail station, there's some historic buildings and homes out in French Creek, and there's more, but they need to be researched and preserved as historical sites before they're gone. So, visually to see this, let's get rid of that red line. Just make it go away. And let's just create our own plan that says we're going to preserve this. This map's a little bit easier to see too. I think it's a little more zoomed in. But this will be like our core, the commercial, little high density, multifamily. This is our business park, industrial. And then out here, here's Sandstino, the light color. Low density, the homes on acreage. And then Cameron Park. If people want to live in a more urban place, that's where they can choose to live. Okay, we have a little bit of a video put together. It's a rough draft, but when a community decides to make a community identity, they have to create a vision. So we're going to go ahead and play it now for you, and I'll explain a little bit more about why it's a rough draft.
The foothill community of Shingle Springs is rich with gold rush history and rural character. Once a large California railroad and mining town, it still harbors pockets of the past throughout the area. Motherlode Drive, the main road through town, is the former historic Lincoln Highway. The El Dorado Western Railroad provides residents and visitors a unique experience on the rails, and past lives who settled the land are respected and remembered. Adding to its charm are historic homes and rustic outbuildings that still stand along scenic country roads. Newer homes on acreage and ranch lands dot the hills and valleys and provide ample space for wildlife and residents to coexist. Multifamily homes are also available, and the commercial and industrial districts provide meaningful commerce. Want something good to eat or drink? Then visit one of our family-owned restaurants, or wineries, or farmers market. Buckeye Elementary School has been around since the 1800s. Ponderosa High opened in the 1960s. Both schools are honored with being California Distinguished Schools. Winding through the landscape and connecting us to other El Dorado County communities is the El Dorado Trail, a multi-use path for hiking, biking, and horseback riding. This rail line and trail will continue to provide connection to our past and future as an alternative transportation corridor for the county. Tucked away alongside South Shingle Road is the Shingle Springs Community Center. Its down-to-earth country setting is a popular gathering place for locals. County-operated Bradford Park is a favorite spot for neighbors and families to hang out. Whether you live, work, or play in Shingle Springs, this country town has something for everyone. Our vision is simple: to preserve the rural essence of our community for future generations.
Hi, my name's Tim Costello. My wife Nikki and I moved here about 20 years ago to Shingle Springs to raise a family. We have 2 sons. We enjoy the rural character of the community. That's what we were looking for when we moved here. It has good schools, nice environment to raise a family. Recently we've become aware of the development that's proposed for Shingle Springs, the Sandstino development. You know, in my line of work, I'm an environmental engineer. I do development-related work down the Bay Area on occasion. And from what I've seen of this development, it's more of an urban infill development. That model is predicated on existing infrastructure of transportation. So what's going on down the Bay Area is these large tracts are being redeveloped, high-density townhomes, next to existing transportation corridors, so those residents can go to work without using their vehicles. But that model, again, is an urban infill model. And so when you transplant that model into a rural community, it just doesn't work, especially when we're talking about rezoning existing ag or large acreage residential. It's nuts. It has no bearing, or it has no applicability to that model. So it's not a cookie cutter system where we can take one development proposal or idea, or model rather, and then apply it elsewhere. It's an urban infill model. So what are we going to get? We're going to get some number of homes, 1,100, 1,300, whatever it is, out in a rural area, and it's nuts. It's going to double the size of of our community, and obviously there's all the repercussions that everyone's aware of there. It'll strain our communities, law enforcement, schools, etc. You know, and I'm afraid it's going to change the character of the community. We have mom and pop shops here. We all know one another, basically. And with that sort of population increase, I'm afraid what we're going to start seeing is the cookie cutter, small commercial strips and same architecture. And, we've all seen it. Folsom, Dorado Hills, to a lesser extent. And then any number of communities. I'm afraid we're going to turn into an Elk Grove, for example, that 30 years ago when I was working with the Soil Conservation Service and mapping soils down there as a farming community, and now it's, in my opinion, a overpopulated suburban sprawl community with a gang problem. It's just something we don't want, or I don't want, I should say, or my family doesn't want. These billboards, are an affront to our common sense. They are ugly. They create glare. They're distracting. Unregulated content. One thing I find appalling is, the biggest thing I find appalling is their ugliness, and the one near our home on Ponderosa and 50. As you as you ascend the hill at Ponderosa and get to see the Crystal Range in all its beauty, and get to see the beautiful scenery, which is frankly why we're all here, right? There's a towering lit billboard selling Bud Light beer. It's blocking the view for a time as you go by it. It is appalling. Not only that along the freeway, but when you exit Ponderosa Road and go over the overpass, you see it. It defies common sense. I could go on, but it's offensive, and particularly egregious is the fact that my son's a senior at Pondo. We have Sober Grad Night coming up. It's really a year-long effort every year for the seniors on graduation night. And we've got a Bud Light sign staring those kids in the face twice a day as they come to school. Really, the message we're sending to these kids is drink beer, drink beer, drink beer. And that's not the message I don't think we want hanging in front of the high school. It's essentially in front of the high school. It is a ways, a quarter mile down the road, but all the kids funnel to school through that.
All right, so you guys think that represents why we are here? So Kathleen Mule in the back. back. She put that together for us, but it is just a rough draft. And the reason I'm saying that is we had Tim's interview, and during part of that presentation it said, we want you, we want your thoughts. So if anybody also would like to be included in that video in an interview, or if you just have ideas that you felt weren't conveyed there, please find Kathleen. She'll be in the back by her camcorder back there. Find her at the back and let her know that you'd like to participate in it. This is our community vision. Everybody has a say in how we're going to go. I think we're all pretty unified, though, that we want to keep it country-style living, rural. It seems like that's a pretty good consensus here. So now we have our action plan, and part of that was to see Kathleen afterwards, after the meeting. So we have a couple different ideas for you guys to take action today. When you came in, it was very crowded. I got to say again, I'm so pleased so many people showed up. This is awesome. Really good So if you didn't get to, we had two different kinds of clipboards going on. One had an email sign-up list. If you're not getting our emails yet and you want to, it says it's from the Shingle Springs Community Alliance. And the reason I set it up that way is I figure we need to talk to each other as a community. So if something's going on south end of Shingle Springs or the north end, because we are kind of spread out, it's going to be an alliance so we all know what's going on and we can support each other. So that's why I created it that way. And if you're not interested in one item, just delete it. But we need to start talking to each other and unite. So please sign up on the list. And also, the proposal we presented to you about taking away that community region boundary line and creating our own community identity and our own community plan, that is the proposal. And there's a petition going around, and a lot of you signed it as you came in. Please, 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 before you leave today, if you like this vision that we have and the way we want to keep our community, please sign the petition before you leave. Also, if you want to take a petition, take it to your neighborhood and get it back to me, get it back to Frank, find us afterward and we'll tell you how to get it back to us. But if you want to go get some more signatures, we are going to be taking this presentation and those petitions, and we are going to, when I say we, I have a presentation committee. We've been working on this, and we talk to the community and get your guys' input. My presentation committee, we are going to take all this information and meet with our supervisors. We have two. Shingle Springs is split in half. We have District 2 and District 4. District 2 is, thank you, and that's the south side of Highway 50, Shingle Springs. District 4 is Ron Briggs, and that's the north side. So we have two. And in a way, it's kind of good because there's 5 total supervisors that make these decisions. We have 2 of them. So if we can unite together and say, guys, we need you to represent us, and this is what we need, and we can get 2 out of the 5, that's good. So please, please, please sign the petition. And like I said, the other thing is, find Kathleen if you have some ideas for the video, because that is a rough draft. That's not our complete community vision. Okay? And then stay connected. Again, we will be having more meetings. I just don't know when and what about. There's a lot of things coming at Shingle Springs. So again, sign up on our email list. We have Facebook pages. A lot of you guys are on there today, I saw. If you like Facebook, there's one for No Sandstino, there's one for the Shingle Springs Community Alliance, and then there's our website. And then please tell your neighbors, talk to your friends. We all need to stay united on what we're doing here in the future. And then, speaking of the future, there are going to be some costs perhaps on the way. Some of this is personally, we've incurred some expenses like photocopies, making signs, the website. I bought some domains. And there may be possible legal action. It's unfortunate, but sometimes to get us representative, we may have to hire an attorney in the future. So start thinking about how important this is to you and consider in the future, or today if you want, to make a donation. That's possible. And then the other thing that I've been asked to point out is there will be public hearings. If this is important to you, there are going to be public hearings at the Planning Commission and possibly, well, they'll be at the Board of Supervisors too. And the thing is, they're on weekdays and they're during daytime hours. So on occasion, we are going to need to show up in mass, in numbers at these hearings. And we'll notify everybody by email and the Facebook, but sometimes you might have to show your support for this, plan on taking a day off. I know it's hard to ask some people. We will try to give you enough notice so that you can do that. And we don't want anybody to risk their job or anything, but if you can do that, or just tell your neighbor, hey, I can't make it, can you? let's get some numbers at these meetings. It really does matter. Like today, this is great. So, and I actually, this was said to me at a meeting I attended last week, and I kind of went, whoa, we got to get on this. But somebody, I can't remember who, said something like, you know, if Shingle Springs doesn't step up and create their own community vision, the county will do it for us. And I think their vision is very different than what the people live here, what our vision is. So we do need to do this, and we can. So, next. All right, this is going to be hard. I'm not an expert, Frank's not an expert, but we'll do the best that we can. I think, are we going to turn on some lights?
Yes.
Okay. I want to keep it also civil, everybody. Let's keep it civil, and we'll do the best we can. So please, if you need to leave or anything, sign up before you go. Oh boy, here we go. Right in front.
So I just have a comment regarding your video. Can't hear you. I have a comment regarding the video, and I think this kind of segues into it. As if we don't take a hold, the county won't have vision for us. We could show pictures of the gridlock at Ponderosa in the morning, what it's like now, before we have this influx of traffic coming in.
Right.
And this will only get worse.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, does anybody have a notepad? Oh, you're on it? Okay.
Address this because there's some history of this here. My name's Bill. I own the Blue House in Old Frenchtown. I was in 500 feet of the things. I've been
Why don't you give them the mic?
storing it for 25 years. In 2000, we had a Shingle Springs Advisory Committee, which I was the co-head or director of. And we didn't have too many people attend. And eventually it dissipated. But we fought signage at that time. And so what I want to encourage out of this is that we do need to keep consistent and build upon this and have our advisory committee, because we did report to the Planning Commission, to the Board of Supervisors, projects that came into our community were fed through this advisory committee. So we do need to reinstitute that and get that process going and sustain it. Because this project, in a different form, was actually brought forth to that committee at that time. Another point I want to make is that when we look at this, is we perceive that these students will go to Ponderosa. We've missed the fact that my kids go to Union Mine. We live in the Union Mine district. Now add to that the impact of traffic going down Mother Love, because if I look at the way the schools will be, my guess is this could be rezoned into the whole Union Mine district. And then what is the impact there? And those of you who go down to school there during school hours, it takes a long time to get down past that. So as you discuss that, I just wanted to throw in those two historical components as far as issues that concern. And I think what we do have to throw in this, as was excellently presented, is that we do have to have some idea of our infrastructure. And we do have to design it, and we do have to be proactive. So I just wanted to throw that historical perspective in, because I think that does apply to what we're looking at tonight. Thank you for your time.
I just have a simple question. What is the building that's going on Sunset Lane behind the post office?
That is low-income apartment buildings. They are. Is it Mercy Housing Facility for what? Okay, I was misinformed.
Well, it's low-income housing. I think it's 40 units. Does anybody remember?
It's pretty big.
It's okay. The majority of it is low-income housing, and then there's I think 5 of the units are designated for mental health housing. So, and yeah.
A neighbor of mine was concerned about that, and she kind of said to me she couldn't understand how these oak trees that were there that should have been protected were removed.
Is that for the Sunset Lane house? Yeah. That one, I'm going to be honest, that one just kind of happened and went in, and by the time it was on my radar anyway, it was kind of done. And I've talked to other people too, putting laser pointer away. Other people have said the same thing. I'm not sure, maybe, I'm sure it went through the process or everything, but it just wasn't advertised very well. And that again is another example of why we all need to start talking to each other when we see these things on the agendas. I don't know how many of you go online and look at the agendas. Sometimes you really have to click a lot to get to the meat of what's really going on in an item. Yeah. Way in the back.
I have a comment. Everything that was presented was well done. There's one aspect that hasn't been mentioned or covered. You bring that much housing condensed like that, whatever. You also bring criminal activity. And that has been addressed in all of it.
No, I agreed. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but
realize for the sheriff's department to handle that area, 5 deputies covers 1 position. That doesn't mean there's 5 more deputies out there.
right.
Because you got the overlapping shifts, and I don't know what they do in Oklahoma County, what the shift hours are. It takes 5 deputies to cover 1 position. Is the county going to hire 25 more to cover 5 positions for all this?
Right. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but he was talking about the law enforcement with that many more houses coming in. High density does create a different kind of element. It just does.
Residential burglaries, the car burglaries, vandalism.
And how is the county going to deal with supporting that? It will require more services, and is that in part of the plan too? And well, let's go that way. I haven't gone way in the back there. Sure.
If the community did nothing and gave no resistance and just went home and went to sleep, and the developers could do whatever they wanted, and the board of supervisors in the county could do whatever they wanted, what kind of timeline would you be looking at? In other words, when would be the soonest that the developer would be able to realize his return on investment and go ahead and do what he wants to do?
I gotta be honest, that is a really detailed question. It's beyond my scope of understanding.
5 years, 10 years before Shingle Springs is transformed.
Right. Well, the thing is it's really hard to say, I think, on something like this. It's been brought up in the past before. My understanding is twice. It depends on the economy. There's just so many factors. I really don't know if we know when to. Does somebody know, Eve?
Yeah. We met with the developers
okay.
a few weeks ago. Myself and a friend who was an attorney, and they said that they would begin building. The plans have been filed. They begin building within 2 years. It would be a 15-year build out on Santino. I don't know about the other side. Oh,
yeah.
So you're looking at 15 years of construction, trucks, dust, noise.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something to that. When this development started, and I started talking to friends and neighbors, they go, Frank, don't worry about it. You're going to be dead by the time this development starts. That's not the issue here. The issue is I love this area. Whether I'm alive or dead, or I'm in a hospital and infirm. This area is just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. It needs to stay the way it is. Whether it happens 1 year, 5 years, 2 years, it's really immaterial. We need to band together and take care of this and stop it. Yes, sir.
Realistically, for the Santino development to continue, they have to get the zoning change quite dramatically from agricultural R5 to this low density, essentially.
Right.
What is the chance of that happening? I mean, what can we do to stop that from happening? Because if we can stop that, we can stop the whole thing.
Well, anything can happen, right? Never say never. If we stick our heads in the sand, I guarantee you it will happen. What can we do? That is stay informed, go to the planning commission meetings, talk to the supervisors about it, say not only no, hell no. Again, 5-acre parcels out there fits a rural living style, not all these houses that are just back to back, wall to wall. So that's what we can do. We have to stay informed.
Well, that's what we have to focus on.
Yes.
Initially, is just persuading the supervisors not to change the zone.
Yes.
Well, I think getting rid of the community region boundaries, like Lauren was proposing, will help.
Yes.
Because that the community region is just significantly huge.
True.
What would be the new boundary? In other words, you're proposing of getting rid of one. What is the new Shingle Springs?
We don't want to put a community region boundary line on Shingle Springs anywhere. We want just the existing land use designations to stick. If you look at the map, we have a core, It gets more and more rural as you go out. That is beautiful planning, actually. I think it has a name. It's tiered zoning or something like that. That's actually a good way to plan communities. My understanding in the general plan, if something doesn't have one of those lines around it, it's just called a rural region. So my understanding is people say, hey, I chose this piece of property because what was there, it wasn't developed, but it was zoned nicely. So people do choose their homes for, very specific reasons. Okay, who's a different area? Wait.
Yes, I am not from Shingle Springs. I live out east of Placerville towards Camino and Pollock Pines. And they have already approached me on my property and threatened eminent domain to move the roads to go further east. Is there something going on out there? Are there other projects going on all over? Is there a way for all of us to find out?
Wow. Yeah, there are big projects everywhere. So where are you? What road are you off of?
Newtown Road.
Newtown.
On the
Oh.
way to
Does anybody know what's going on out there?
Off Broadway.
That's not that hotel, is it? No.
All the way out.
Yeah, I don't know what's out there, but there's a lot of different things being proposed.
You can go to the El Dorado County website, and they have a list of all the projects by name, by parcel number, by planner, and you can find a lot of information on there. We don't have all the answers here. Obviously, something's going on in your area.
Yeah. I've heard there's high density proposals east of my parcel, and when they started out by telling us they wanted to repair the bridge right on my property, basically. And then it's just a little tiny bridge. There's nothing wrong with it. And yet now it's 130 feet long, it's 32 feet wide, it's taking the front part of my property, moving Weber Creek. There's historical, there's Indian artifacts, there's Indian grinding rocks.
Now, you guys are having a meeting, though, too, coming up. Do you know about the Camino Pollock Pines meeting coming up on the 28th?
Microphone.
No.
Does anybody else remember? I think it's on the 28th. Camino Pollock Pines has a community workshop planned. I was invited to go because all of us communities are realizing what's going on, and we're all trying to talk to each other. So I was invited to their workshop. So do you have our email address? You guys, if you haven't been on the Facebook or you haven't been on the website, we forgot our big flyers. But I do have a little tiny thing here with our email address and our Facebook on it if you want to grab one of those. And that way at least you can if you email me, I can get you on our list and follow up with me. And I can tell you when that workshop is.
Thank you very much.
You've been waiting.
In the project management life cycle of this project, I'm pretty familiar with traffic along Highway 50 and Caltrans's long-term goals for traffic handling on Highway 50. I was involved in the Red Hawk interchange, and I'm involved in another interchange that's going to be built further west. And this project will become economically infeasible at the point at which the developer goes to Caltrans and they do the traffic study for Shingle and Ponderosa, because the Caltrans will require another interchange, and there's not enough room between the Shingle interchange and the Ponderosa interchange to put a new interchange in.
Yeah.
So one of those two would have to be modified, probably the Shingle interchange, and all the access roads leading to it. That cost will be borne solely by the developer. And at a project this small...
Right. To make it feasible for them, it does seem like they would have to get more homes on it to pay for all those improvements, yes.
What they're going to have to do, one of the processes here is to take and have a traffic study done on what's feeding onto the highway and will be feeding off the highway and get Caltrans's approval. And I don't think that's occurred at this point.
No, I think the traffic impact study will probably be part of the EIR for San Stino.
And
yes.
That's when the developer is going to have a rude awakening
yes.
as to the economic impact to their project
right.
in dealing with getting onto Highway 50. So the point of all this, I guess, is that they're not done yet.
No, they're not.
And I do not think, just from a pure economics point of view, because I am a project manager and I deal with this kind of stuff, I don't think from an economic standpoint that they'll be able to make this work in this location, particularly with the impact to Highway 50
right.
and the impact to the improvements they're going to have to make to French Creek, to Frenchtown, to all the other feeders that feed to the main artery, which is Highway 50.
Yeah, no, this isn't done, and that's why I think it's important that we do start creating our own. The general plan says that we can have our own community identity. We need to get on that so that this kind of stuff can stop. So we don't have to keep fighting every time somebody gets a new idea. Let's just have a plan. Let's stick to it. Before, wait, hold on, Frank, one second. Because people are I know people want to, I know it's getting late and stuff. If anybody out here has any expertise, if you're an attorney, a project planner, any expertise that could help us out with this, please email me. We are going to need some people that live in the community that we can go to. And so please do that. I know you're out there. We have professionals in our community. So please step up because we are going to have to continue. This is going to be a long process. And Frank wanted to say something.
Very quickly. I appreciate what you just said. But remember, there's San Stino and there's Tilden Park. And Tilden Park is going to create a ball of snakes on that overpass as well.
And they will, Caltrans, when they do their analysis of the EIR, will address the combined traffic impact on already, as you've already stated, Ponderosa is on the verge of capacity now.
Yeah, it is.
And you can't add any more to it. And Caltrans will not let the queuing public back out onto the freeway. That's a design no-no. So I don't think that when the developer gets to that point, that it's going to be feasible for them to continue once they address Caltrans' approval to put that additional traffic on R2 interchange.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have a couple comments. One is the one woman who mentioned that the development has been 15 years. I mean, he can say whatever he wants. All you got to do is look at Eldorado Hills and Folsom as a model, and I can say it doesn't take that long. It only takes about half that time. And the other thing is I noticed that all the parcels that are directly south of San Stino, they're designated as a wildlife corridor. And I want to know what that means because maybe that could be something that we can look into to say, okay, the same wildlife is there as the parcel right next to it.
Right.
And if it's designated as a wildlife,
Deer don't care.
Yeah. Right. So what does that mean? Does that mean that does that change what they're able to do in terms of development?
That's a good point. Very good point. Thank you.
If I can, I'd like to tie on to what the gentleman said.
Go right ahead.
What's happening in the rest of the area. So I was raised here in Shingle Springs. My husband and I lived on left of his family's homestead from the 1850s, so really However, there are two remaining large parcels along Motherlode Drive.
Can you stand up so folks
There's
can
our old ranch, which is the old Miller Ranch. It's where the Stokes folks are and the fox chases the rabbit. It used to go across Highway 50, Highway 50 cut it in half. So that is a large parcel, and I'm wondering how it's connected to this. And then the second large, not quite as large parcel, is the old 49-mile ranch, which is in the Doe Pond dip. And I'm wondering, is that tied into this? So there are still some large parcels left that could allow this type of continuing focus on higher density development, and I'd like to know how they possibly are targeted.
I can't answer that, but you know, it's like today I do a lot of thinking in the shower, unfortunately. And I was thinking about this, and I go, you know, the other thing is, there's also that big chunk of land where the firewood places. I mean, at one point the guy may say, you know, I'm not making a lot of money on wood, but I got all this land, and that is one big chunk of land.
There's also at the corner of Green Valley and Motherlode, there's that large ranch land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of open parcels here.
I'm not going to name any names, but at the end of Big Canyon Road, there's a huge parcel of land that's owned by one of the people that are owners of San Stino. So if they can get that, that will open up the gate for them to develop all their other big parcels.
It's just about rezoning.
Yeah.
If we allow them to low density zone high density zone the area, every big area or every big ranch can go the same way.
Right, absolutely. You're absolutely right, and that's why we need to band together.
This is just a toe in the door, and as soon as this one opens up, just give up.
Exactly. As a friend at work told me today, once the camel gets his head in the tent, you're not going to get him out. That was well put. Yes.
I think that there are actually more things to address than just traffic.
Yes.
We have EIB to consider.
Oh, yeah.
Slide Park is low as it is, but and then also, the whole French Creek drainage issue. And then our schools, the developer will have to build a new elementary school, a new junior high, and possibly expand or build onto the high school.
And this document here, the county document, anybody can get this stuff, by the way.
Okay.
It does mention that they may have to build a school. The big word is may.
Right.
So that's...
Yeah, what is a lot is reserved for a school site, elementary school site, and then, as Bill said, Encino anyway, will be line, way under capacity, so it really won't, but it's the traffic getting, and we'll have crossing traffic, people going to Buckeye, to Union Mine, some people want to go to Honda, some people just want to get on the freeway and go to work. It is going to be like this, really badly. So just before we go on, does anybody want to get a petition, a paper petition, and take around to their neighbors? Because I just don't want to hold anybody up. You guys,
This guy in the back's been waiting for a while here.
Lisa has them. Can you? I just don't want to hold people up.
Starting back 2004, that property was all zoned.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Would you come up and 2004, that property was all zoned 10-acre residential.
I still couldn't hear you.
It was zoned 10-acre residential in 2004.
2004 was zoned?
Yes, it went into the general plan to be 5-acre. Talking about, but it was without the community region around it. Now, when they put this proposal in 2010, and they requested responses from all the county operations, the DOT said Highway 50 underpass, overpass was underused and acceptable for this project. This was 2010 now, it was early. Okay, they also, the Department of Health Services also said that with 10% low-income housing, that they would support the project.
You stand?
But, yes.
I don't think 90% of the people can hear you. Why don't you get a hold of that microphone?
Well, I'm really through, because it just goes on. Go online to the county and read all of the department responses to the Planning Commission's questions to those departments, and you will see the Health and Human Services basically said that if they actually went to 20% low-income housing and apartments, that they would be able to get it through a lot faster. And also that they might be able to find some funds to assist them.
Right.
So,
are you saying the government lies?
Some of this nature, Dave. But you can see all those reports online. They're all there.
Thank both of you for putting this all together.
Thank you for coming.
And then the other comment is, if we can sit here and play devil's advocate or be naysayers and say this might not happen, but there's so many things that have happened in our country and in our state. They were slow, they were progressive, and it was because the communities didn't take action and didn't take involvement. So we're a small community, and this is an opportunity for you to have a voice and make your surroundings what you want them to be. Another thing is, if you were wondering why the supervisors would allow something like this to happen, it would be about the money. I mean, it's tax dollars that they would be inviting in. And you can all agree that they're like drug addicts, and the more money they get, the more they want. So, you know, I appreciate everybody's voice on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say, I've been here 44 years. I don't know how many of you have been here that long. But when I moved here, I lived on the other side of 50. And a private road just before the high school. The gentleman next door to me had 5 acres. It's a dead-end true street, by the way, the road. He just had 5 acres. He just sold 2.5. The person in back of me had 4 acres. There was nobody other than I and the person who owns the road and one more neighbor that lived there. When I moved here, there was in Shingle Springs the post office, an old fire station, and a country store with a live butcher, believe it or not. Kumar's Corner, and that was it. There was nothing, absolutely nothing in Shingle Springs. I moved up here, bought a piece of property that I could afford. One reason, because I had 2 small children, and I found out that Buckeye School was a good school, so okay, that was great. They could come down Ponderosa, walk over to Kumar's Corner, and I didn't have to worry about them one damn bit. So this is how the area has changed, because people are selling off. If they've got 5 acres, they're going to sell 1. If they've got 3 acres, they're going to sell 2 or whatever. But this is what's happening. And there was nobody, and between my house and the freeway, there weren't any houses. Nothing. So this is what's happening.
On a larger scale. Finally, sorry.
I think your group needs to know a little bit of background on the general plan process.
Can you go to the mic?
There was, pardon?
Go to the mic.
Come on, Carol, come on up. She's been doing this way longer than we have.
Yeah, 25 years.
She knows way more than we do.
I'm not in Shingle Springs, but I border you. I'm on Greenstone Road, and I understand the domino theory that one of these ladies suggested, and a gentleman as well. Once they get started, they keep going. Is there anybody here representing EDAC in this group? Not at all. EDAC is the Economic Development Advisory Committee for El Dorado County. They put it together in 2009. The Board of Supervisors appointed people to it to go over our general plan for the general plan update that they have to do about every 5 years. When they appointed those people, a large segment was agriculture to protect Camino and Pollock Pines and South County. But a huge section were development interests. The chairman was a gentleman named Jim Bernello, and he's an attorney and a land developer, and he did the industrial park at the El Dorado Y, if you're familiar with that. It lacks infrastructure that he was required to do by the county, and for 20 years it sat there without the infrastructure. They weren't supposed to sell lots, but they did. And when it was brought to the Board of Supervisors' attention at a public hearing, they went back to the planning department and rescinded the certificate of compliance because they had already sold lots and there was already businesses there. But EDAC is the one that developed your community regions. And it's for the sole purpose of developing out El Dorado County. The Highway 50 corridor has been identified as the prime target for high-density development because it has the most infrastructure. The transportation impact mitigation fees under Measure Y, who a lot of you voted for, was put into place for the developer to pay for the roads. They're right now, they negotiated those road fees, and in the Shingle Springs, Cameron Park area, it sits at about $42,000 per unit. EDAC is in the process of downgrading the contributions by the developers. And when you get into the low-income housing, they pay a fraction of what's necessary for those impact fees. And the county does not have the money for the roads. So the odds are they will allow the developer to put in the project, and then the roads will sit there unattended for probably forever. So that's what's happening. You cannot be a nice guy with the county. Luckily, 2 supervisors have been removed. One retired, one was removed through an election, and you have 2 new supervisors. Ron Michalako from District 1 in El Dorado Hills has the same problem in his neighborhood with the Malcolm-Dixon region, and their organization is the Green Valley Alliance. So I hope all of you are, I know that Lori's been in contact with some of those people because they've got the same problem. They have spent hundreds of man-hours attacking that plan and showing the discrepancies because basically the county did not want to do an EIR. They're notorious for negative declarations on that, and they do the minimal amount of mitigation for the impact. The other thing is they do use eminent domain because they just used it in Diamond Springs on an industrial park where they took a young woman's backyard. She's a single mother with 2 small children. They took her backyard for the private property of the developer for the industrial park. So they're not exempt from using that against any of you. So you can be nice and show them a film and all that, but if you can't show up at a planning commission meeting, then Lori should notify you and you email all the planning commissioners, not just yours. And Ron Michalako and Brian Veerkamp are new on the board. And Ray Nutting told the developer, make the residents happy. So you need to let Ray Nutting know that you're not happy. and go after the other 2 supervisors in particular. Same with Ron Briggs. He's your supervisor, but he's termed out. So he can do whatever he wants. But Veerkamp and Michalako may listen to you.
All right. We can do this, but we are going to have to be vigilant. And I was on Facebook today, and it was popping, you guys. I was like, this is awesome. So is everybody kind of getting tired? Just
one more, please.
One more.
I can't tell you, we went through this in San Jose years ago, and we retired here to get away from it all. But we have all these people here, 20 years ago. But anyway, we have all these people here. You need to contact your supervisor. If you've not been to a planning commission meeting, you will find that the planning commissioners that sit up there call all those developers by their first name. Okay?
They do.
So you need
really
to
weird.
contact your people now. Don't leave here and think, okay, somebody else will take care of it. It's really important that they see warm bodies and have votes.
Right. So that's why we will try our best. If we are talking to each other, we should get enough notice that we can send it out. If you guys can put on your calendars, and we can pack the room. If this many people showed up to one of those meetings up there, they would be floored. I was at these board workshop meetings this last summer, and there was like 24 people, you guys. And only 3 of them were just residents. Everybody else was on some committee that represented somebody or something that had money. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, where's the people? I mean, it was supposed to be for the people kind of workshops and meetings with input. And I was going, and I was new to all of this, and I still kind of am, but I was just overwhelmed by, they all knew each other, and I'm sitting there going, taking notes, going, what do I do? It was overwhelming. So if y'all came with me, it would be awesome.
When Stino presented this to the Planning Commission last year, there were maybe half a dozen people in the room.
Did anybody know about it then?
I don't know.
Okay, and that's part of the problem. We aren't knowing about these things. Oh, and there's also another, just so you know, I found out about this and I forgot to mention it, but on Duroc, along there somewhere, I think it's where they put that new signal, the newest signal there on Duroc, there is already an apartment complex of some kind. That's already been approved, is my understanding. It's not like in the application process. It's done. They're just waiting to build it. So another thing is already planned for Duroc. That's going to feed onto, our interchange. Yes, we really are. We're good. We're good. I'm glad you guys are here.
Would you also let us know when meetings are going to do the way you did with this? Put signs up. If we know that people that are not real capable.
Yeah, so the signs did work, you guys. And the mailboxes was Frank. The signs was me and my daughter. I gotta say, my daughter is home from winter break from college. I said, help me with these signs, and she was awesome. So I have to thank her when I see her. I'm glad the signs work, and I think if we all know to look in the same places and we post the signs in the same places every time, you guys know where they are now. We'll do that consistent so you all know where to look. Jill?
Why don't we rent the Budweiser sign?
The first time, I want to say something. The first time I found out about this, I went to Office Max and I printed out 250 flyers. I said, I'm going to tape them to mailboxes. Took me 2 weekends, right? All by my little lonesome. And Eve Lowry, who lives the neighbor next to me, I said, Eve, would you mind hosting a meeting? She goes, sure. So I had that on the flyers. I thought 10% of the people would show up, 25 people. And Eve says, Frank, don't get your hopes up. 8 people showed up the first time. I was so floored. The second meetings that we had, more and more people came, but not a lot. I don't want to spend my life taping flyers to mailboxes. If there are people here that are willing to help me, kind of like that story about who's going to help me bake my bread, please help, because it is a huge task. There's a core group of us, Susan Statke stayed outside of the post office for 3 hours handing out flyers. We need to spread the wealth here. We really do. I mean, and it's the only way we're going to do it. It's to back one another's backs, stay connected, talk to your neighbors, keep informed, go to the meetings, get vocal, kick some butt.
Laura, you talked about a Friday the 18th deadline. Could you repeat what that deadline is for and what we need to do to meet that deadline?
This Friday, it's the public comments regarding the Children's Park. The notice, it's called the Notice of Preparation, which is the notice that was sent out to public agencies and residents that live within 500 feet. You all have a right to make a comment about the focused EIR that they're going to do. They're not doing a full EIR. So me personally, I'm going to make a comment saying, why aren't you doing a full EIR? We raised so many concerns about the impacts of Tilden Park, in addition to just traffic. They are really only focusing on traffic. There's way more than that. That area has the Sorry, I had a cookie. There's cookies in the back, you guys. Water and coffee, too. But there's a lot more impacts than just the traffic, and for some reason, I don't fully understand it. Planning department said, hey, developer, you only have to do a focus EIR, which is a lot less money, by the way. A full EIR is rather expensive. So I put it on, got a couple websites. The website that says stoptildenpark.com, I believe it is, and there's a link to the Tilden Park website from the Shingle Springs Community Alliance website. They're all linked up because we need to start talking to each other. But on there it says something about making comments on the NOP, and I put some instructions. I posted the NOP. I put the 2 comment letters that we had submitted last February. So you can see all the things that were brought up about that project, and I don't understand why the county is only requiring a focus EIR. So those comments are due Friday the 18th by 5 p.m. You can email them. You don't have to hard copy them. And those instructions are on the website. So I'd love it if you guys made comments.
Hard copied at what office would we take them to? Because your presence in an office, verbally along with the piece of paper in your hand, it has an added emotional impact.
The address is on there. I believe it would go to planning because Pierre Rivas is the planner on that. So that's building C up there, I'm pretty sure. And that address is posted online. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Thank you. That would be great if you guys made comments.
Laura, because I've done this at the state capitol and other things, you got to walk in with a stack. That makes an impression. It's not just hearsay or that. You got to have someone walk in and say, here it is, here's our stack, here's this number. And then they look at the stack. They may not read it all, they may check it.
Yeah.
But that stack, makes a huge impression.
And that's why those petitions that we have here tonight with our proposal saying Shingle Springs wants this, we want our own plan, we want our own identity. That's why we have those in hard copy here, because when we go meet our supervisors, our presentation committee next week, we're meeting with our 2 supervisors individually. We're going to have those petitions with us. And I'm going to print, there's also an online petition, and I'm sorry if that caused confusion, but I set that one up when I first started because I didn't know how to get a hold of everybody. The online one says, I support the mission of the Shingle Springs Community Alliance. And I'm going to print those out too, because it says that they support it. They may not have signed the exact petition here with the exact proposal, but they support our mission. I'm printing those out too, and I think that's getting close to 150 itself. So we're doing really well. Let's keep going. Hold on.
Quickly about EIRs. To the extent that EIRs have been useful in some circumstances in the past, there is a movement to water them down.
Yes.
To make them less useful.
Yes.
So it's really critical to use the kind of support that you're encouraging. Right?
Yeah, I'm noticing that on CEQA and stuff, if projects meet certain criteria, and some of these really high density mixed use things actually meet the criteria because they think that it's better to squish people together and use less land, which doesn't work up here in El Dorado County. But as a state, they like that kind of stuff. They actually streamline some of those and say, you don't need CEQA, you're going to stack them so high, go for it. I don't understand. And maybe it's because we are a rural area. That doesn't work. That streamline it and make it happen faster. So again, that is why we need to voice our concerns.
Are you getting any media coverage, such as the Democrat and all that, do an article or series of articles on this?
There was an article. When was that? About a month ago we had one, and I have to say the reporter did a really good job on it. Oh, Marianne has it right there. There's Frank and I were pictured in it. We were meeting at my house and the reporter came over. It was great. But she actually did a really good job, and it helped explain the project to a lot of people. I kind of forgot about the Democrat to invite them to this meeting, so I tried today, but they didn't get back to me, and that was my bad. I just was very focused on this presentation, you guys. This is not my forte.
So that's a great question, because
But about the mountain, even though they're not here tonight, if there's a picture of everybody here tonight, you submit it to them with an article that you want.
We have our video, and I think that Kathleen's playing. Are you posting this online? So that
Yeah, in a couple days it'll be up.
Yeah, and so I was thinking of contacting the Democrat and letting them cover it from that.
Okay, so it's great, but a lot of people don't read the Democrat. So here's the thing. Like when we first formed our group, I said, we can get the Democrat, but some people don't read it. Another possibility is to put an ad in like the Gold Banner because it's free, and a lot of people get that. We need to put ads in numerous publications. That costs money. That's why we need donations to get the word out. Because really, I can only put so many miles on my car taping flyers to mailboxes, right? So the best way to really do it is through some form of media. So we really would appreciate your help financially in that regard.
Yeah.
Yes.
What if we call KCRA 3 or Channel 13 and tell them that, small community, we have history here. My mom's been here for 46 years. Her dad was the vet in town growing up. I grew up here for 20 years. There's history. It's really important to me. I'm young, but it's important to me. And I think it's losing focus to developers. They don't care about it.
Our board of supervisors don't care.
The community cares about the history of Shingle Springs. And if we get, like Channel 13 or someone to come out and talk to us, maybe it'll have more meaning to the developers as opposed to just us talking to them.
Okay.
More people here in California.
We'll look into that. We do need a media person to help. We need help legally, media. We need environmental engineers, environmental planners, all sorts of stuff like that. Anybody in here with that type of profession, please help out.
Hey Frank, we got someone over here who's been
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say it kind of fits in with your request for donations. There have been studies, a number of studies over the last 50 years that have all shown that development costs the existing residents. Your taxes are going to go up if all this happens. So it's better to pay it for, spend it right now on the donations to prevent the development, because once it comes, your taxes are going to go up. It's been shown in study after study after study. Just like you said, you're going to need more sheriff's deputies. We're going to pay more for roads. We're going to pay more for schools. It all comes back to the people that already live in the area. So if you spend it now, you're actually saving money in the long run in terms of, donating to help stop it before it happens.
Thank you. That's a good point. I do want to point out we're not a nonprofit. You can't write whatever you donate. You can't write off. I mean, I've kicked in about $100 of my own money printing flyers. Some people back over here, they also kicked in their own money printing flyers. So that's just the way it is at the moment. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Cameron Park, I know you were here too 20 years ago. You may remember what Cameron Park was like. I used to write,
Scrub brush everywhere.
Yeah, but if they look at how Cameron Park has grown, you have a Walgreens right in every corner. You have Walgreens apartments on every corner. It's crying. I grew up there. I didn't want to live there. We bought a house in Shingle Springs because I didn't like what they did to Cameron Park. They didn't even care what they put up. You go down Green Valley, how many pharmacies are there? Every corner, they don't even care what they put on the roads anymore. They just throw up anything.
It's a better life through drugs.
It's terrible.
What was that, Brian?
Better life through drugs. Yeah, but I see. I mean, there's a couple of pharmacies on Missouri Flat.
But if you think about what Cameron Park looks like, it used to be this beautiful place that I belonged to Cameron Park when I was a little girl. Rode my horse up Green Valley to Titus, and this wasn't a long time ago. I'm not, I'm old, but I used to ride your back to the little mini mart there, and in 20 years, what they've done to Cameron Park is eliminated, and it makes me sad because I think it's really special. And Cameron Park has that sign that says it's a special place, and I think that's kind of silly. And I don't want to see that happen here because we got this house, it's supposed to be our last house to go hold together, and I'm really sad if it looks like that.
I was asked, because I know that everybody's trying to go home and stuff, if there's something that you want to do and you want to sign up to tape flyers like Frank said, or you have a special, or if you have a media specialty or anything, a professional thing that you want to help us out with, if you already signed up for the list, just see Lisa and she will write down your name and put special notes by what you want to do or what your specialty is, because we need you. Okay, so I don't want to keep everybody all night. I'm thinking we're going to stick with the road signs in the locations that they are there. It's pretty key intersections we tried to hit. So if you guys just tell everybody to look in those places. I'm debating whether or not, oh, by the way, I forgot. Oh, I really forgot. I'm so thankful that the Shingle Springs Community Center is here for us to meet. I don't know where else we would do this. So join them. To remind everybody that if you want to help support the community center, they do have their membership form here too. I think it's $15 per year per family. It's very reasonable, and they do have a lot of fun events here, and we really need to support our community center. And I'm so sorry I waited so long to mention that. Darn it. Maybe I'll email that in one of our little update things. And there is an opportunity. I'm not sure. Do you guys think we need to have a monthly meeting?
No.
To get updates on what's coming, or?
Certainly one before the next big thing coming up.
Yeah. Okay, so we might have to play it by ear and see how it goes. So if you have petitions, if you're taking paper petitions and you're gathering signatures, just me, probably me. My email's out there on the website. It's info@shinglespringscommunityalliance.com. I know it's long. I'm really sorry, but it's talkable. You can say it. shinglespringscommunityalliance.com, and it's info. And I'll get it. And I've tried really hard to respond to all of them. It's really great to hear from you guys. Everybody has been so supportive. I just can't thank you all enough. Grab some cookies before you go, because that's a lot of cookies left over. And thank you so much, everybody. And we're going to move on a little bit. If you want to come and talk to anybody you.